Kalau di rumah gue tuh di depannya sekolah ini ada. Ada hebat sih. Depannya pantai itu kan ada rumah. Ya baru. Itu rumah.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, good evening. Welcome to Veranda, Indonesia, a reception to celebrate the 79th anniversary of the Independence Day of the Republic of Indonesia. Veranda, Indonesia is a festive occasion filled with the grace and beauty of Indonesia's diverse culture, adorned with the Indonesian performances and the gourmet experience of our nation's diverse cuisine. Before we proceed, a special thanks to Ana Godoroja and Andra Bachira for the beautiful performances earlier. As a friend of Indonesia with family ties to our country, Ana, accompanied by Andra, added a personal touch to tonight's celebration. To officially open this wonderful reception, I'm delighted to invite on stage the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Mediatamas Suryalinga, and our guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. Trajan Laurentiu Christa, Secretary of State for Global Affairs and International Organizations from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Celebrating unity and friendship, we will begin our reception with the national anthems of the Republic of Indonesia and Romania.
Aku berdiri dan
It's a great privilege to
Excellencies, honorable guests, graceful ladies and noble gentlemen, distinguished friends of Indonesia. Good evening, selamat malam, bunasera, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Highest blessings be upon you all. Welcome to Veranda, Indonesia, a celebration of Indonesia's 79 years of independence. Selamat datang di Veranda, Indonesia, malam merayakan HUT kemerdekaan Republik Indonesia yang ke-79. I am touched so many friends are here this evening. Your presence truly warms this twilight evening. I note the attendance of our defense attaché, Colonel Prayoga Erawan and spouse. Thank you, sir, for your support. A special acknowledgement to our guest of honor, who is not just our guest of honor, but our dear friend, State Secretary for Global Affairs, His Excellency Trajan Distrea. Bine ați venit la Veranda, Indonesia, ocazie de a aniversa 79 de ani de independența Indonesiei. Vă mulțumesc pentru participare. That was just the first part. I'm sure the second part will not be. Dragii mei prieteni români, acumunan și o lume s-o la Bucharest. Mie dor de prietenii mei, dar nu mi lipsește casa. Fiind fericit de a fi musafir în frumoasa voastră țară. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a simple evening of celebration. Enjoy Indonesian satay, bakso, and other delicacies. It will go down well with Indonesian macchiato at our Torabika stand on the corner, ground coffee from Blue Phoenix, and then there's also some local brew bintang. For your entertainment, there is a Balinese dance, making batik art, and a catwalk of our traditional couture, accompanied by the lovely Ana Bodo-Roja. This night would not be possible without the generosity of Atlas Concept, Olim Company, Jukun Bali, Blue Phoenix, Ana Bodo-Roja, and Andra Basila, BNI London, ASEAN Bukate, Batik House, Nusantara Choir, Salt and Pepper, and obviously the wonderful people at the Indonesian Embassy, Indonesian students, and the Dharma Wanita Association. My gratitude to you all. And before leaving, do visit the Indonesia gift stand right before the exit. But I must warn you that credit cards, cash, and Revolut are not accepted. Bringing your invitation or a kind smile and saying, I love Indonesia, will suffice in exchange for a unique Indonesia momentum. Excellencies and honorable guests, August 17, 1945, Indonesia declared its independence. 79 years later, the world's biggest archipelago has become a top 15 world economy. But this year's independence touched some historic milestones. We inaugurated our work-in-progress capital, Nusantara, and Bahasa Indonesia, my mother tongue, was recognized as an international language by UNESCO. Politically, it marks the end of an era, the end of President Jokowi's 10-year presidency. In 1 month and 1 week, Indonesia's 7th president will be sworn in. A new administration brings a different nuance. Yet the fundamentals of foreign policy will remain the same. A diplomacy that is well-measured, well-calculated, well-mannered, result-oriented, yet firm in its principles. Our free and active foreign policy is anchored in non-alignment. But I must tell you that we did not choose to be non-aligned because we were born non-aligned. As the world's 4th largest democracy, Indonesia is a cheerleader for democracy. But we will not measure others by using a political yardstick. And despite our natural hard power, with a military rank 13th in the Global Firepower Index, Indonesia remains a benevolent power in Southeast Asia. We reject foreign military bases, military alliances, with our forces focused on defense and peacekeeping, making it the 6th largest contributor to UN peacekeeping operations, home to 12% of the global Muslim population, which means that 1 out of every 10 Muslims in the world live in Indonesia. Yet diversity and religious freedom is a hallmark, evident in the fact that within the past 4 months we were privileged to host His Eminence Professor Ahmad Al-Tayeb, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, and last week His Holiness Pope Francis. I can also assure you that the new administration will continue seeking a global order where foreign nations freely determine their actions without external influence, and that instrument of such an order is inclusive multilateralism. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations is a cornerstone of our foreign policy, as is indispensable organizations such as the OIC and the Non-Aligned Movement. Under Indonesia's chairmanship, MIKTA, which combines Mexico, Indonesia, Korea, Turkey, and Australia, held its first summit, affirming a positive role amidst global polarization. As a G20 member, we believe the grouping is a catalyst for development and also a forum for debate for powerful and sometimes querulous countries. But paramount to all that is the United Nations. Despite its shortcomings, the United Nations remains the most important forum of global peace. Indonesia further seeks to harmonize action on issues of dignity. Issues such as women's empowerment will remain high on the agenda. Among these, a joint initiative with Qatar on Afghan women's education. Venerable colleagues of the diplomatic corps and of government, allow me to be a bit grim and frank for one moment. It is said that diplomacy is a long game, but sometimes things have gone on far too long to the point that our hearts break beyond tragedy. President Joko Widodo has called for an end to the breaches of peace in Europe through negotiated peaceful means in respect of the UN Charter. In that same vein, Indonesia is in horror of the collective failure to stop the massacre in Gaza and creeping encroachment of the West Bank. Indonesia's commitment to Palestine stems from the 1955 Asia-Africa Conference, the first movement when decolonization was asserted. It is appalling that in the 21st century, Palestine remains the only nation yet to be decolonized and independent. We thus appreciate the remarks made by Foreign Minister Kodobescu on Diplomacy Day, stating the need for a permanent ceasefire and a permanent solution which includes a Palestinian state. We applaud that the State of Palestine has taken a seat among us at the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, placed between Sri Lanka and Sudan in the blue, green and gold of the General Assembly Hall. This is a significant step towards full membership, which is already supported by the majority of UN nations. Distinguished friends of Indonesia, there are few capital cities that are as far away from Bucharest as my hometown of Jakarta. In fact, when comparing the capitals of resident embassies here, there's only Santiago, Lima, Buenos Aires, and Brasilia that are of greater distance than Jakarta. But such distance does not mean Indonesia and Romania are distant. On the contrary, that distance did not stop Romania from opening up diplomatic relations soon after the de jure recognition of our sovereignty. And we are thankful for Romania's loyalty, which next year marks 75 years of friendship. That distance has not stopped more than 40,000 Romanians from visiting Indonesia in the last 18 months. That is the highest ever number of Romanian visitors over any same period in our history. Mr. Secretary, I don't know which because they love Bali and Indonesia so much, or because Romanians love to travel so much. So, vice versa, distance has not been an issue, as the number of Indonesian citizens living in Romania, be it workers or students, reached a new high. I am deeply, deeply grateful that the number of Indonesian recipients of the Romanian government scholarship has increased this year. Neither has that distance prevented bilateral trade from reaching a new record in 2024. Mr. Secretary, I could ramble on detailing the many bilateral achievements as is custom in a diplomatic speech. For example, I could tell you that half a dozen senators and parliamentarians visited here in the last 2 months, but I won't. I could also tell you that our National Counterterrorism Agency and the Servicio Roman de Informazi signed a watershed agreement in June. but I don't think I will. And I could also tell you that we are finalizing agreements on defense, tourism, labor, and exchange between our national news agencies and educational cooperation. But I will leave that for another time. In short, and in closing, suffice to say, Mr. Secretary, that I believe with our joint efforts, I believe that the distance of 9,754 kilometers between Bucharest and Jakarta can only grow closer. Much distance between us, yes, but distance from each other, absolutely not. Thank you, friends of Indonesia, for your support. Please enjoy the evening. Terima kasih. Mulțumesc. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We are honored to welcome our distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency, Secretary.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Mircea Surion Ingrat, honorable guests, esteemed hosts, colleagues and friends. It is indeed a great pleasure to be here today, joining you for the celebration of the Independence Day of the Republic of Indonesia. The birth of a new nation, along with the triumph of people's desire for freedom, dignity, and the right to decide their own future, was witnessed 79 years ago. Romania is a friend of Indonesia, a country with whom we share over 60 years of strong collaboration based on mutual respect, trust, and shared values. Our ties have developed across a wide range of sectors, given our shared commitment to fostering stronger economic, political, cultural ties and connections between our two countries. We will continue to work together in order to intensify exchanges, to set up projects and to promote trade, investment and connectivity. Business communities from both countries should engage more based on increasing maritime connections between Constanța, the maritime gate to the European market in the Black Sea, and Indonesian ports. A pragmatic agenda. Education is also a promising area of cooperation, as shown by our long tradition of contacts in this field. I am glad to see a growing number of Indonesian students who choose Romania for their studies. Universities and researchers for both countries should be further encouraged to generate long-standing networks. Honorable guests, Romania and Indonesia share a strong commitment to peace, prosperity and stability. Strengthening the rules-based multilateral system, including through the promotion of effective multilateralism, remains a common objective. We are pleased to see that the cooperation between the European Union and ASEAN develops on the same coordinates. Romania, as the EU member state, is committed to promote an advanced partnership between Europe and Asia. We are glad to see Indonesia's support for the important steps made towards Romania acceding to the Treaty of Unity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia. Indonesia's leadership within ASEAN and its active role in the current geopolitical